Hello, good afternoon, everybody. It's a brand new intro for us, and we are back. It's episode 218 of Buds and Blue Jays. Jesse 1, Jesse 2 here, coming at you after a much-needed little break here. And we are back, and today we have a very big episode. We are going through and handing out our awards for the season. It's the Blue Jays Buddies. It's the Blue Jays Award Show. It is the greatest award show the internet has ever seen in who knows when. And it's all going to happen here on this episode. Jesse, I am very excited. I know you are very excited for this. It's one of our favorite episodes that we get to do every season. Give me an excitometer for this one for you.
Let's go 93 because that's a great year for us.
93 out of 100, not too bad. We're going to have like the fun awards, like their classic ones, like your MVP, your who is the Cy Young Award winner, Rookie of the Year, all that stuff. But then we're going to get a little wild. We're going to get a little crazy. We're going to have like the fan moment of the year, the best looking suit fashion statement of the year. We're going to have the biggest like what the fuck moment happened this year. And let's be honest, the Toronto Blue Jays this season gave us a lot of those. So they'll be going into all of that. But first, with that being said, there is just one more series left to play this year. It's the World Series. And no, our Blue Jays are not in the Fall Classic this year. It's the battle of Tim Mayza and Anthony Banda, of former Blue Jays left-handed relievers, who's going to get a World Series ring. Who are you watching for in this series? Who do you want?
Definitely. For me, I'll take the Dodgers because fuck the Yankees. and you can't cheer for the AL East unless it's the Jays. But no, I definitely want to see like Teo, again, a former Blue Jay, Kiermaier, who's been one of the best defensive center fielders in the last 15 years. Like, have him finally win one because he never got an All-Star. Let him get a World Series. And like Freddie Freeman, like who represents Canada, like there's more people that are likable on the Dodgers. So I'll have to say the Dodgers, and I'll even say my MVP for the World Series is going to be Max Muncy.
Muncy, the funky Muncy, eh? I like that call, going through and maybe hitting some short porch home runs into Yankee Stadium. I'm a big fan of that. I'm with you. Go Dodgers. One, for the reasons you mentioned, that there are so many old Blue Jays on there. Teo and I'm missing some Kevin Kiermaier is there now, right? There are a few that we really want to cheer for, but also I can never cheer for the Yankees, never, ever. And it's just not going to happen, plain and simple. And two, like, I don't hate the Dodgers. Shohei Ohtani's really fun. Freddie Freeman has his ties here to Canada. Like, I really want them to take it home. And I think Major League Baseball as a whole probably wants them to take it home too. A battle of 250 home run hitters on each team. I'm really hoping for a long series because I know the offseason is going to drag and drag and drag until we finally get here into mid-February, into spring games, into April when the season starts.
Oh, definitely. Like, at least we can cheer for a team that has players that either were on the Jays or the ones that we've tracked some airplanes for, but and hopefully be one of our most hated rivals in the league. So let's go Dodgers for the next month.
I am so ready to watch Juan Soto's plane or whatever it is he may go in this offseason because it is going to happen, but we will dive into that a little later. Before we get into the awards here, Jesse, we do have a little bit of Toronto Blue Jays related news that we do got to get into, and a lot of this stuff is very minor. It's nuance, it's behind the scenes stuff, but ultimately could be very important for the future of the Toronto Blue Jays. And the most notable thing to come out of this 2 weeks is that we have a new hitting coach. In fact, the Blue Jays have hired David Popkins as hitting coach, 34 years old, quite a young guy too, who was coach of the Minnesota Twins for the last 3 seasons. He was let go from them as part of their kind of fire sale, if you will, after blowing the leads late and not making the playoffs, and just seemed like it'd be one of those token firings to me. Interesting hire here, Jesse, in David Popkins. And before we dive deep a little bit on what this might mean for him going forward, what this might mean for the Blue Jays, which players could benefit, etc., I want you to just give me your initial reaction as seeing David Popkins as our new hitting coach.
At first I was a little concerned that maybe Matt Haig and 100 Mets were gone, but I read further that they'll still be associates to Hopkins. Then I dived a little bit more, and he does have he worked with the Dodgers in their minor league system and all that.
Yep.
Where, like, again, the Dodgers are pretty good at hitting, even with, like, hitting. And then when he went over to Minnesota to be the primary hitting coach, they were a top 15 team when it comes to home runs and on base OPS. So I feel like it could be a very helpful since the Jays have been near the bottom the last few years,
Mm-hmm.
and also he believes in pulling the ball, not going to the opposite field. So
Right.
that's going to be a great thing too. Like meet the ball out front and not wait for it.
Right, which is something you and I have been saying forever on this show that we want the Blue Jays to do a little bit more of. With you on that, Minnesota has always been very good at pulling the ball, hitting the ball harder. The top 10 in almost every single offensive statistic you want to see. Good at drawing walks and good at doing damage on the pitches you know they can do damage with. And I think that David Popkins has a lot to do with that. I was listening to Shai Davidi, who was reporting here that he was brought on, and one of the reasons the Blue Jays chose him as their hitting coach over some other coaches here is that he is really good at when a guy gets into a count, an appropriate hitting count, to look for his pitch and put a good swing on it and swing for power, which is something that Don Mattingly and other hitting coaches, guys who have been in these ears of Guillermo Martinez, have not been able to do with the Toronto Blue Jays. So I'm taking it as a positive sign that this is what the Blue Jays were looking for in a hitting coach, which makes me feel like the Blue Jays are actually taking things quite seriously to improve their power at the plate going into next season, which it's all talk as of now, but it's got to be a good sign.
Exactly. And once spring training comes up and we see them doing this, well, we're going to be going even more crazy about Pop of it.
Mm-hmm. Now, I want to look at the Blue Jays roster or offense as a whole, because there are some hitters on this team that have really gotten into that opposite field approach. Like Alejandro Kirk has been okay with it. Bo Bichette historically has been really well with this opposite field approach. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is coming off his best offensive year since his MVP running up year in 2021. Now, we do think a change in hitting coach and hitting philosophy will benefit guys like George Springer. I can see it benefiting a guy like Spencer Horwitz quite well, and a few others along the way as well. But are you worried that now having another voice, a different voice, is going to take away some of the good things we've seen from Blue Jays hitters? Or do you think just the net positive is going to be way better than any loss a potential new voice can have?
I feel like it's gonna not really have much of an influence because you still got like Hunter Madison Hag, who a lot of the Buffalo boys work with and have like that camaraderie and work with him. But I feel like Guillermo Martinez, Dave Hodges, Manny, all their like philosophies were becoming tired and old and not working with the modern game. And as we have seen, like you need to pull the ball and hit home runs to win in this game. In this game, even though our GM thinks it is a low hanging fruit, but we as fans and even analysts know that you need to meet the ball out front and do the damage, not wait for it. So I feel like it could help maybe get a resurgence in power, maybe for Alejandro Kirk to be pulling, because when he pulls the ball, he really does do damage. From even when he came up in 2020, in the bubble season and all that. So I feel like it could be a positive. And like the year and also in 2021 when we didn't make the playoffs but had 94 wins, what were the Jays doing a lot of? Pulling the ball.
Yeah, hitting homers. They did a lot of that in the 2021 season. So I'm with you. And I think Dalton Varsho is a guy, too, we didn't mention that I think the new change in hitting philosophy here is going to go really well for. And Davis Schneider. I don't want to quit him either. We're going to talk a lot of him this offseason. I think this new hitting approach could work well with Davis Schneider as well. All right. Final thoughts on that before we go to some other Blue Jays news. Are you ready to move on?
Well, we can move on.
All right. Well, the Blue Jays did have other two more, maybe not as significant moves behind the scenes, but still made some moves here. We have a new minor league pitching coordinator, and that is Justin Lear, who you might remember as a longtime relief pitcher in the major leagues. It's been a long time, but he used to be in there. He has been with the Giants since 2018, and one of his roles there was helping pitchers come back from rehabs. We've mentioned that in the Blue Jays minor league system, a lot of our pitchers have been getting hurt, especially from our top end guys, Brandon Barriera, Ricky Tiedemann. There was Chad, and there was others though. There were guys down in the low minor league system. Lorandon Morautis is one of them. Like there was a bunch of guys who had gotten hurt, and I think the Blue Jays saw this and are bringing in a medical expert here to just try to keep their pitchers healthy, because the best availability has always been availability. So this is again the Blue Jays working on trying to fix that, which I like. And then the other move, Shane Farrell, our scouting director, John Farrell's son, who might have been on the short list for one of the worst Blue Jays managers of all time, has finally left the organization. And we talked about when we went into the draft about Shane Farrell hasn't really had a good track record of developing, drafting guys. So he is now gone. He's with the Tigers, and the Blue Jays will need to hide one of those. So any thoughts on those two players, Jesse? Shane Farrell and then Justin Fair coming in to overhaul our minor league pitching coordinators.
Happy trails, Shane Farrell. Thanks for very little. So he go screw over the Tigers for us. But no, the pitching coordinator, like I was making a joke to a boy of mine saying that I think the Jays organization led the league in blowing UCLs because of all the Tommy John we've had.
I mean, I can't prove that, but you might be right.
So, almost as either us or the Dodgers who like to blow their UCLs out. So maybe this new pitching coordinator will help it. And also, when it comes to the Giants, one thing they've always been good at is developing young pitchers. Like, even when we were younger, like Matt Cain, Lincecum, Brian Wilson, Sergio Romo when he was like two of the best closers back then. Like, this could really help us too develop those players. Those pitchers coming up.
Since 2018, since he took over the role there, the Giants had the 5th most innings pitched, which I feel like part of that is just how many innings you play, but also, hey, it's pretty good stuff from his side that he can show to keep these pitchers healthy. So that is very good. Anyways, expect more Blue Jays coaching news coming up in the future as we still have some vacancies left here to fill going on. We will talk about them when they do indeed happen, but new hitting coach, worth paying attention to and worth seeing how the Blue Jays adjust early in the spring and seeing what some of the quotes are from players, etc., what they say about the new hitting coach going into next year. Carlos Correa, for example, really did like this guy. So, hey, we'll take that there. All right, Jesse, you ready to get into some awards? This is fun. Now, before we get into our awards that we're going to give up, the Blue Jays have been nominated for some real awards, and we should probably give them a little bit of shout out here. So let's dive into that, including the classic ones you all know. Jesse, Gold Glove. We've talked about it all year that the Blue Jays were going to have some Gold Glove nominations, and well, we got 2. I think we were expecting the Blue Jays to get 3. But Dalton Varsho nominated for a Gold Glove in center field. Ernie Clement nominated for a Gold Glove at third base. But Alejandro Kirk snubbed behind the plate, not nominated for a Gold Glove at catcher. Give me your thoughts on those 3 players.
Varsho, it was a given. Like, he'll probably even end up with the Platinum Glove. Like, and I made a joke too. If he doesn't win a Gold Glove this year, we riot. But Ernie Clement definitely showed his defensive ability. Like, he really wasn't expected to be an everyday player coming into the season, but it was like refreshing to see his defense and like what he can do on regular time, like playing time and all that. Especially literally earning his spot by beating out Espinal and all that. Kirk, that one shocked me that he wasn't nominated, especially seeing the way catchers were nominated and like looking where he was in defensive metrics and being like one of the best. And then one I was kind of shocked about, but again, also not really, was Vladdy not being nominated for first, especially like what he did. Like, as I know, but again, too, a lot of I call the Gold Glove almost like the All-Star battle. Like, it's a more of a fan favorite, like, and that's why I thought he was there, especially even showing like the more range to him at third, just giving him a possibility, even Gold Glove compared to some other first basemen in the American League.
You can look at several defensive numbers on Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and you can make the argument he's still one of the worst defensive first basemen in the league. Like, I understand his scoops are good. Him playing third is nice. And we'll talk more about Vlad playing third base going into the offseason, of course. But I don't think he should have won a Gold Glove when he did win his Gold Glove award. And yeah, I don't think leaving him off at first base is a snub here. Kirk, I'm sad to see. His framing numbers behind the plate, though, are phenomenal, and he's better than some of the other guys that would have been nominated there. Just more slander for Alejandro Kirk. I guess if he hit a little better, he probably gets on the award list ballot there. The only thing I'm worried about with Dalton Varsho, who, you're right, absolutely should be a Gold Glove winner. We will riot if that is indeed not the case. He did spend a lot of time between left field and in center field again. And because of his injury down the stretch, I don't know if he's going to get enough numbers to qualify, which is silly. It's absolutely dumb. But I know that award voters might look at that way. And then the other guy who was nominated, the Boston center fielder there,
Duran.
Yeah, Duran had a really good year and also hit really good this year. So that might go into some things. But yeah, if Dalton Varsho doesn't win this, we absolutely riot.
But also, it's a defensive award. So why should, like they're saying, oh, he hit better. Defense, not offense. If you're the offense is a silver slugger or a different type of award, not a gold glove for defense. So if they give it to him and because of those numbers, that's just ridiculous.
And then Ernie Clement. I'm just trying to pull up who he is against here for third base.
I believe it's Bregman and Jose Ramirez, if I'm correct.
You are correct. Is he going to win that award, or is it going to go to Jose Ramirez or Alex Bregman?
I feel like it's going to be the latter because of just popularity. Like, again, it's like an all-star vote. It's popularity.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Even if Ernie Clement's numbers are better than theirs, will he sell more tickets or jerseys for being that, or probably not? So, but then again, a couple years ago when Chapman got beat out by, I believe, Urias from the Orioles, worse numbers, than Chapman, but they gave it to him. So maybe it is Clements here.
Rawlings just hates us in Canada. That's what I'm gathering from all this Gold Glove slander. But we will see. And those things should be coming down. Usually in the World Series is when they announce these awards. So it should be coming in the not too distant future, if I remember correctly. The Blue Jays did get some other hardware. Dalton Varsho won the Fielding Bible Award for Defensive Player of the Year. So at least Sports Info Solutions loves Dalton Varsho, as they should. I hope the Gold Glove people at Rawlings consider that as well. Spencer Horwitz named to MLB's all-rookie second team. Kind of snubbed out there. I thought maybe he could have been on the first team, but some good names, some good rookies in Major League Baseball this year. So he fell short a little there. Chad Green was nominated for AL Comeback Player of the Year, which makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Hasn't barely pitched over the last few years, got 17 saves to the Blue Jays this season. Makes a lot of sense. And Vladimir Guerrero Jr. was named the Sporting Awards American League Comeback Player of the Year, which is kind of funny. Depends on how you look at comeback, because he played in a lot of games. He was fine. He just wasn't a superstar like he was this year. So do you have a takeaway, a thought on any of those guys?
Definitely good on Chad Green being awarded that. And again, Varsho definitely deserves the defensive award for what he's did all year. But when it comes to Vladdy's, I don't call that because like a comeback. Like when I think of a comeback, I would say like Chad Green not pitching for a couple of years, or
like Alek Manoah if he came back and would have had a good year.
Exactly about it. Exactly. Like if Manoah came back and was a Cy Young candidate, like stuff like that, that'd be more of a comeback. Vladdy just having a season that we all wanted and know what he was capable of, not much of a comeback, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you. It all depends on how you want to say it. It's like people have the debate. Is it mostly on skill performance, or is it something off the field that took you there? You can have your debate, and maybe we can at some point here too. But I agree. Kind of cool. Did not expect to see that headline coming through the timeline here today when I saw that. But all right, Jesse, fun part. 40 minutes to go in our episode. Let's get some awards going on in here. And this is going to be the fun ones. I think we've come up with, 20 different awards that we can go through. And there's no real right way to do this. I mean, you picked a winner. I picked a winner for each of these awards. We might agree on some. In fact, I think we'll probably agree on most, but there's some that we won't. And then we can shout out some honorable mentions too and have the friendly debate on who we think is going to win. Let's start kind of with the boring ones, the awards that are always handed out on every single award show that you see, and they're going to be handed out in Major League Baseball. We might as well give some for the Blue Jays here as well. So without further ado, my guy, I think we got to start with the Blue Jays' most valuable player in the 2024 season. And I'll take it to you. I'm sure we have the same answer here, but who is your MVP for the 2024 Toronto Blue Jays?
And I don't even think there's a doubt in my mind that all fans of the Jays will say, and it's the person that needs to be paid, and the award goes to Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Absolutely, without a doubt. In my mind, monster season, 30 home runs, 199 hits, his second best season since his MVP. No one on the Blue Jays really came close. for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. So I am with you. I actually wanted to look to see, like, could we even come up with some honorable mentions for MVP for the Toronto Blue Jays this year? So I just went over to Baseball Reference and I looked at the Blue Jays WAR leaders. Like, Vladdy was number 1. Dalton Varsho was number 2 based on his defense. And you'll never guess who number 3 on WAR by Baseball Reference was in terms of WAR for the Blue Jays this season. Take a shot.
Did they finish the season with the Jays?
No, they did not.
Justin Turner.
No. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa apparently finished 3rd, probably because the defense, the versatility, and he hit all right while he was here. But I'm like, yeah, if we can't give Isaiah Kiner-Falefa an honorable mention for MVP of the Blue Jays, not a chance in hell. It is very, very clearly Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Before we move on to the next award, Jesse, if we are looking back at this time next year, we're in the 2025 season, we're looking back at who our MVP is next year. Is it still Vladimir Guerrero Jr.?
More than likely, unless we do spend big and bring a big bat into our lineup for next season. And I'm not going to say who I think it will be, but
you can say Juan Soto's name, Jesse. It's fine.
He shall not be spoken because I don't need my heart broken yet.
That's right. I also think this is kind of off topic here, but speaking of Juan Soto, just really quickly, if the Yankees do win the World Series this year, I think it's much more likely Juan Soto remains a Yankee. If they lose and the Dodgers win, I think there might be another chance that Juan Soto does leave. So if you are on the Juan Soto to Toronto bandwagon, which a lot of us are, you want the Dodgers to win even more this World Series. All right. Quick thought on that, or we can move on to pitching, to the Cy Young Award winner of the Toronto Blue Jays this year.
I say we go to the Cy Young because
let's do that. It's more fun.
Realistically, there's no one else we need to talk about an MVP for.
Mm-hmm. So who is it, Jesse? Without further ado, your Cy Young Award winner for the 2024 Toronto Blue Jays is?
And the pitcher of the month for April, the most consistent pitcher we had all year, and it has to be Jose Berrios.
Jesse, I'm with you, my guy. Jose Berrios wins this award for me as well. I was a little skeptical coming into the season. I thought, I don't know. It's not going to do it up. But he was good in spring, phenomenal in April, ran into a bit of a stretch, and then just dominated the thing. And the thing that kind of put it over the top for me for Jose Berrios is just how many times the Blue Jays won games when he was on the mound. They weren't all because of Jose Berrios, but if you're winning 21 of your 34 starts, that's a damn good thing, and that's what you want. So I'm with you. Jose Berrios, Cy Young Award winner for the Toronto Blue Jays this year.
Oh, definitely. It felt so nice to have you eat your words finally on him after all these years.
I'm with you, my guy. Did you give any thought to giving it to Bowden Francis, who was phenomenal down the stretch but didn't get the innings, or Kevin Gausman, who did have some flashes of dominance in here? I
was thinking about Bowden Francis, but I was like, if he did that the whole year, it'd be a different story. If he wasn't that 1 month period where he had that dominance, if he had maybe not even a whole season, but a little bit longer of a run as a starter, that would probably be, he would have been my easy Cy Young and probably would have been up for the Cy Young if he had a full season like this.
And no love for Kikuchi. I mean, he was traded midway through the year, but he looked real good. He looked like our ace a bit at times. Did you give some thought there too?
I did. He did have his flashes, but then again, during that last little stretch before we traded, he wasn't as good. He was looking like the old Kikuchi to me before he went to Houston and turned into Verlander.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you, my guy. Jose Berrios is absolutely the right choice. Now, next, Jesse, let's go to a fun award, actually, which award the Blue Jays really haven't had a lot of over the past few years, but we had a lot of in this season. And that is the Blue Jays Rookie of the Year voting. And I actually looked at it. I think the Blue Jays had 9 or 10 rookies this year. Some notable ones like Jonathan Clase, Addison Barger, Leo Jimenez, Stuart Baroa, Spencer Horwitz, and then even on the pitching side, like Brandon Little, and then a couple no-name relievers, and then Yario Rodriguez, technically a rookie for this season. So the Blue Jays actually had a lot of interesting rookies this season. I think I know where you're going to go with this one for your Blue Jays Rookie of the Year, and I'm pretty sure I have the same one, but I want to hear it from your mouth. Who is the Blue Jays Rookie of the Year for 2024?
The man I was trying to be on this roster from the beginning of the season, once I saw the struggling offense is Spencer Horwitz.
Yes, correct. With you, absolutely. And I'm sure the fans listening would agree that Spencer Horwitz has got to be the Blue Jays Rookie of the Year this year. I'm just pulling up his stats now. But a guy who hit for more power than I thought we did. He hit 12 home runs in his time here. 267, got on base at a 357 clip, a 127 WRC plus. He made the all MLB, all rookies team, all rookie second team, that is, for example. And you could argue that he's been one of the best. I don't think any more rookie got more hits than him this year. Like, he did some real things, and I'm curious to see where he actually falls on the Blue Jay or on the actual MLB Rookie of the Year list, because I bet you he will get some down ballot votes here. And they're absolutely well-deserved for Spencer Horwitz, even though he's a little older as a rookie.
No, definitely was a nice surprise. Like, if you asked me at the beginning of the year who my Rookie of the Year would have been, I would have said Barger, but it was definitely a nice surprise and treat to have Horwitz come up and actually do what he did, and also playing half the seat that I'm in a position he never really played before, being in at second. So I want to use a different one. I agree, Barger should have been, but I definitely have to give it to Horwitz this time.
I'm with you. Definitely the right answer. If Addison Barger didn't get off to such a dreadful start to start the year, where he was like, what was he, like 2 for 40 or something like that, then the numbers look a lot better, and he's getting up there a little bit. But he actually finished last on the Blue Jays in teams of rookie WAR. Did you give some thought to any of these players? And the next 3 rookies in terms of WAR for the Blue Jays was Yariel Rodriguez, who inconsistent, but showed us some promising signs, did do some good things, technically a rookie. And then Will Wagner is next, who only played 24 games, but looked phenomenal in his 24 games. And Leo Jimenez, too, who got hit by a lot of pitches, but he did spray the ball that he can show contact on. He did play some very good defense there. And the next closest is Joey Loperfido, and we're not giving it to him. So did you give some thought to any of those other guys?
Not really, but if I were to think about right now, it'd be like Will Wagner. If he had been more of a run and maybe played a few more games, he probably could have been up there with Horwitz. Again, Rodriguez had his flashes. I know we saw one of his best starts when we were there on Canada Day. So
yep,
the promise is there. It should be interesting to see what he does in year 2, though.
Jonathan Class A had the highest WRC plus. I am just saying. I mean, albeit 7 games for Jonathan Class A, but hey, there is that. All right. I'm excited. Blue Jays had a young rookies. I think 13 of them made appearances for the Toronto Blue Jays this year. That's so high. That's great. And I'm excited to see a lot of them actually maintain rookie eligibility going into next year as well. So it'll be fun to have this conversation next year too. Jesse, to the bullpen, and we dread every time we got to talk the bullpen, but somebody must have been good in this Blue Jays bullpen this year. Your best Blue Jays reliever of 2024 is?
And he's not even on the team anymore. Yimi Garcia.
Jimmy Garcia. I'm with you, my guy. I gave some and haws over this one because there is a lot of ways you could have gone. But I think just with the flashes of dominance that Jimmy Garcia had and shipped him away and he got us a good prospect, like, I'm with you. Jimmy Garcia has to be the winner for this one. Was it really close with anyone else? Like, Chad Green did come in, take over the closer role, got 17 saves. Brandon Littell did lead baseball in ground ball rate for qualified relievers, which is kind of cool. I know we're not giving it to Zach Pop or anything, but Genesis pitched well at times. Eric Swanson bounced back a little bit. I feel like we're gasping at straws here, but did you give it to anybody else?
The only other one you didn't mention I would probably thought it would be Yarbrough.
Yes, I did actually put Yarbrough on the list here, who, if you look in terms of just when he was a Blue Jay and when he was pitching, he was statistically our best pitcher, Ryan Yarbrough, this year. So honorable mention, Ryan Yarbrough, but Jimmy Garcia has to be the guy. Do you think he comes back? There's a chance? Free agent at the end of this year, comes back to Toronto?
Why not? Like,
right,
he has success here. Like, him and Pete Walker work well together. So if the price is right, bring him back. Like, it wouldn't be the first time. Like, it wouldn't be the first time the Jays have done something like this.
Also, shout out to Tyler Heineman, who has a 0.00 ERA for the coming out of the Toronto Blue Jays bullpen. Ernie Clement and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa can't even say that. So there is that. All right. And then one more basic, just generic award. Jesse, we're going to look down to the farm system, Who was your best Blue Jays prospect of the year? Maybe a guy who made the biggest rise throughout our farm system.
I have Alan Roden for this one because again he started the year in Double A, lit it up, went up to Triple A, struggled a little bit. Then once he figured it out in Triple A, like he should have been one of the September call-ups, like over the people like over Baroa and all that. Like he should have been, but I can see why the Jays didn't bring him up just to maybe use it, like not expose him in case they do use him in a trade package in the offseason, which I hope not. But
yeah, my pick is going to do. But yeah, I'm with you.
My pick was Alan Roden for for the best prospect because all the other good prospects who were pitchers all new UCLs. So.
I mean, I'm with you. He hit 314. He got on base 40% of the time. He slugged over 500, a 150 WRC plus. I don't think anyone's going to bat an eye if you give Alan Roden a shout out there. He definitely looks major league ready. I think that's the correct answer, but I actually went off the board a little bit, and I was torn between these three names here. The first one is Arun Namala, who's really struggled a little bit early, but then kind of the power click, but he's still so young, so far away that I'm not going to give it to him here now. I wanted to throw some love to Josh Kasevich, too, who the Blue Jays have talked up a little bit, who plays a good shortstop. He's actually turning into a little bit of power a little bit. But I'm going to give it to Adam Macko as my prospect of the year because in a farm system that had no pitching or good pitching really whatsoever, Adam Macko did put together some very good starts here. 3.72 FIP, xFIP right along the lines with it. He did get into Buffalo and at the end of the year, after starting the year in Single A, making it all the way to Triple A. I do think we're going to see some Adam Macko in the cards at sometime next year, and I wanted to just throw some love his way.
And a good old Canadian boy too. So definitely, I feel like I would have picked him as well too, but he did miss a good chunk of time due to injury.
Yes.
So thankfully, it wasn't a UCL.
But yes.
Yeah, like really, like what pitching prospect isn't injured in our organization right now? But I would have thought, like, if I was thinking that, I would definitely would have had him up there, but just Roden's numbers were undeniable to not make him the best prospect.
I'm with you. And for those of you listening at home, if you have a choice of who you think the best prospect was, or on any of these awards for that matter, feel free to leave a comment. We will give you some shout outs here. But Jesse, now we're going to get into some of the fun Blue Jays awards. And I tried to get a little creative with some of these ones. Some of them are kind of, okay, yeah, they make sense. Some of them are, well, you know, hey, they're like the low-hanging fruit of awards, if you will. Forgive my take. But we kind of get creative. I wanted to highlight, I guess, in this segment, some other weird and wacky moments that happened in this 2024 Toronto Blue Jays season. And I thought some of these awards could get us there to that. And I wanted to start with this one, which is, what is the Blue Jays slogan of the season? Now, I'm not saying like the to the core, which is their trending hashtag, or when we had stuff like that. I know night mode was a big one for the Blue Jays this year, but that's not what we're going to go with here. If you say a phrase, I'm going to be like, yep, that's the 2024 Toronto Blue Jays. Give it to me. What is your word for slogan of the season?
And I got tip my cap to that award. It has to be tip my cap. Like the amount of times I've said it on this show to just make fun of Josh Schneider, let alone him saying it in actual media scrums about other teams pitching and not being able to do anything. It has to be tip my cap.
Like it was getting to the point where even like the beat reporters and the announcers are saying like, how many times can I write tip my cap in a freaking article when John Schneider said he just got beat? Like it was getting ridiculous. And there were even a couple glimpses too, where like, yeah, a couple Blue Jays would go down striking out, and you'd even like, I know it wasn't intentional, but you'd see John Schneider pick up his cap and do one of those. And it's like, man, he's even tipping his cat in the dugout. It was wild. I couldn't really think of any other memorable slogans. We did have a couple memorable Chris Bassett quotes during the season, including the one related to seeing ghosts, and then, or the Blue Jays are all hunting with their own demons. Oh yeah. Yeah. The one with the roof. So Chris Bassett, just a very quotable guy on his own. You could make the argument that the low-hanging fruit comments that Ross Atkins made at the end of the season might be maybe an early contender for quote of the offseason. But I'm with you. I feel like we might be missing another quote there. But if you want to go with like what is the big one in the season, I think you're right. it's this one.
There's that one, or there's even the one that Votto said when he rolled his ankle, saying it hurt like the Dickens. It's like
right.
only Joey Votto would say something like that.
I wish we got more Joey Votto, man, on this team. Some of the stuff he said was phenomenal, and it would have been so great. But we'll touch on Joey Votto a little later for one of these other awards going into the season. But that's a fun one. If you're listening at home, let us know what you think for that one there. This next one here, this was our biggest WTF moment. And you could take this, Jesse, in any way you want to go. It could be a moment where you saw it, like you literally watched it happen on TV and you said, what the hell, man? Or it could be like, I can't believe this happened. Or you could take this in a positive way. You could be like, holy shit, Alejandro Kirk hit a triple. Wow. What the hell? Like, you can take this literally any way you want to go. I don't think there is a wrong answer to this, but what are you going to give it the award to here?
Like this, if this it couldn't scream what the fuck for the whole season of the Jays, it has to be Orelvis a few games into finally being called up, getting suspended for the PEDs. Like, I remember being on my way to Boston, and the breaking, and like you and Riley talking about it. It was just like all of us were like, just like, like what the fuck? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Really?
And the wild thing about this, too, is that the Blue Jays called him up, and apparently he failed the suspension while he was still in the minor league. So, like, they brought him up. They literally played him a game. And then I remember we caught on here and we thought it was weird. Why isn't Orelvis Martinez in the lineup for game 2 of this series? You just called him up. Well, it's because he failed a suspension. And I bet you Ross Atkins and company in the front office were probably saying that exact same thing was what the fuck with that there. Also, honorable mentions for this one, and there were probably a ton of honorable mentions here. Just Ricky Tiedemann going down with his injury, Brandon Barriere going down with his injury. You could even argue Bo Bichette finally coming back from his injury and then hurting his thumb, fielding a ground ball, warming up, also made you go like, what the fuck happened here? Like, there were some positive ones, like Davis Schneider hitting some home runs. Ernie Clement, just when he hit a home run off of his forehead, also made me say, like, the fuck in some positive ways. So it's
Kikuchi tackling Soderstrom big hit.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of different ones. I think in true spirit of the award, I think you're right with the Orelvis Martinez one, but there were so many different ways you could go with that one. And I'm excited to see what we see from Orelvis Martinez going into next year, or see how he does in the winter ball here.
Well, he's hit 1 home run so far, so he can't. Maybe that's a sign, but who knows if he'll even be on the roster.
We will see. I'm rooting for the guy, but again, we will see on what happens there. All right, your next one, Jesse, and this is your favorite stat of the season. And you could have taken this a player stat, a team stat. You could have taken this a positive way, a negative way. So many different ways you can go. I love stats on the show, so I've got a few of them written up here, but I'm going to let you go away with the first one. What was your favorite Blue Jay stat of the season?
If you don't think this one, then it has to be the pitching numbers that Bowman Francis had once he went in that rotation against the Orioles. How many? 3 near no-nos, 2 into the 9th, like just the pure dominance of like almost, I believe it was like a sub-1 whip. Like it was just those numbers he did once he came in the rotation. It was like what I thought he would be all year, but unfortunately he got demoted and some injuries, and what could have been, what could have, should have, would have been, like those numbers just don't lie for themselves with the dominance he had down the stretch.
Yeah, 1.80 ERA and 65 innings pitched since rejoining the rotation. But I think if you want to make it be more like, wow, this is the stat. Remember there was that 5-start stretch there where his whip was like 0.39 or something like that, which was literally the best any pitcher has ever put up in Major League history ever, period, full stop, is what Bowden Francis did there. So I think that's a very early contender for player stat of the year. You could have done some other ones. There were some good Dalton Varsho defensive number stats. There are some really weird and wacky ones. I went more team specific for my stats, and these aren't positive ones, Jesse. These are bad Blue Jay statistics, but it was a bad Blue Jay season this year. So these are a couple that made me say, oh man. And the first one is, remember when the Blue Jays just went on the longest stretch without scoring a run in the first inning? I think it was like 37 games. I know we set an American League record for fewest runs scored in the first inning, but then also led baseball in runs scored in the second inning, which made no sense to me. during that time. So that was a stat that stuck with me quite a bit for this season. And another one too that really got to me is that the Blue Jays only had 12 home runs all season from their cleanup spot this year. And they didn't hit their first one. I think Bo Bichette ended up hitting one. Maybe it was Dalton Varsho who hit one, but Spencer Horwitz actually led the team in home runs from the cleanup spot this year, and he had, 8 maybe? The Colorado Rockies were second worst, and they had 4 more than the Blue Jays at 16. So those were my thoughts for Blue Jays stats of the years, because they really encapsulate the whole 2024 Toronto Blue Jays season.
And their stats I was trying to forget, but of course, we got to bring them up.
We got to bring them up because they mean there's so much to this season. So I'm hoping next year, when we get back to the Blue Jays stat of the year, we can talk about Vlad getting 200 hits in a season or something like that, or
Bo being Bo,
or Bo getting his 200 hits as well, or something like that, instead of these depressing Blue Jay stats, which there were a lot more we probably could have thought of as well that we didn't get to.
Oh, there's plenty more than the. I didn't want to rip the Band-Aid off. I want to keep the pain in.
Smart. Yeah, it's the off season. We're trying to forget this painful season, but when you're podcast creators, it's not always easy to do. But so be it. Jesse, let's talk John Schneider. And he had a very interesting season this year. I want to give him some love and I want to throw him some hate. So this is the John Schneider Award, and it goes to just basically what you think his best and or worst decisions he made this year were. And I know it's hard to put everything on John Schneider, but there were some times people wanted him fired throughout the year. So I'm sure you've got something notable.
I was one of them.
Yeah, so there you go. So give it to me. You can start with the positive or the negative for your best John Schneider moments this season.
So for the positive, I definitely would say in those near no-nos for Bowden Francis, let him actually hit pitch a high pitch count, to the 100,
right,
the 120 to the mid or 110s. Let him go for those no-nos instead of listening to the khakis and pulling him, or even him not pulling Gausman when he had the complete game shutout, and not listening to the analytics, just letting the pitchers pitch, which is nice. But for the worst, I would say it came very early in the season. The benching David Schneider the night after him having a clutch 2-run home run off of one of the best closers in the league, and Josh Hader, and benching him because of what the matchup says.
Yeah, we talked about that a lot because remember the Blue Jays got no hit the game before, and they had 1 run into the 9th we're getting shut out again into the 9th, and then David Schneider had a 2-run home run to win the game in the 10th. And I remember that being the first home run Josh Hader has allowed on his slider in forever, right? It might have been his first one ever. I don't exactly remember. And then, not in the lineup the day after that. And if my memory serves me right, the Blue Jays lost that next game too, and they didn't score many runs. Or maybe they won. I don't remember. No, in fact, I think we won that series. I don't remember. But either way, I think part of that maybe ruined David Schneider's season a little bit. He was so hot at the end of last year, and he was good to start this season. And I'm with you. John Schneider did it quite a few times this season, and I didn't love that.
Exactly, and he did it a couple times with Varsho too, that Colorado series where hits a grand slam the one day, benches him the next day.
Yeah, at some point you got to ride the hot hand and let them go, and I really wish John Schneider did that a little bit more this time. I'm with you on the positive. I think that was my biggest positive, the exact same one you had there from John Schneider. I also like that he did get a little bit more consistency in his lineup spots, maybe to a fault. I think leaving George Springer in the leadoff spot for as long as he did, allowing him to get the second most at-bats on the team, is probably not a good idea. But, praise there, I suppose, for some consistency. But correct me if I'm wrong here, Jesse, but wasn't there a game early this season where there was a mound visit? I'm pretty sure Kirk came out to the mound, or Jansen came out to the mound to talk to a pitcher, then went back, and then John Schneider later in the inning, or maybe it was later even the same at bat, went out to talk to the pitcher, wasn't going to pull him, but because of rules, that's 2 mound visits in the same at bat or same inning, he had to pull his pitcher. Did that happen this year, or am I thinking did that happen late last year?
That was last year with Minot.
Okay, yes. Yes, it was.
I remember it wasn't. Walker went out, and then a few pitches later, he went out.
Right. Okay. So for some reason, I thought that was this season still, but I think you're right when you say it was last year. But even so, Your manager's got to know shit like that. Like that's the stuff your coach has got to know. Just knowing the basic rules of baseball seems smart. But anyways, that's enough.
Who would have
John.
thought that could be good? Who would have thought that would have made you need to know that.
Also, John Schneider ran too many sacrifice bunts this year, which is something I mentioned last episode. I'm mentioning it here again. Not a fan of that. But either way, all right. Next award, Jesse, and we're going to go off the field for this one. Are you a fashionable guy? Like is fashion your forte, would you say?
I can say I dabble here and there. Like if people who were at the baseball town saw me wearing a butterfly shirt with National Geographic shoes, so
that's right. That's right.
So
that's nice.
Yeah, like I can spice it up here and there and all that. So I can say I am.
Okay, well, for our next award, then we want to go with the Blue Jays fashionable moment of the year. And I don't know off the top of my head what any good nominations are. We just have some couple Blue Jays that are just fashionable guys. They're very cool. They got very personable. But I want to give you the chance to give me your award for whether it's a single Blue Jays outfit, costume, or just who on the team you thought was the most fashionable. You can take it any way you'd like. But who gets your award here?
So, well, I'll definitely say the best look of the year was all the rookies as Penguins, even though Cosmo hates Penguins. But I would definitely say, probably if you go fashion sense, I would say it definitely would be Manoah, as everyone's seen him wear those flashy outfits before games and all that, walking to the stadium. But again, another one too is definitely Bo Bichette for the pass, and I say the two. Both of them were injured all year, so we didn't get to see many outfits. But I would definitely give it to a co-award to Bo and Manoah for fashion sense.
Yeah, very, very cool. I think I'm on board with you here too. I want to throw some love to Bowden Francis. Didn't he come into a game one time wearing like a cowboy hat or something like that? Am I misremembering this here?
No, I definitely can see him doing that. Like again, Bowden Francis' style is like, I call it the Value Village chic, or like Kensington Market chic, like vintage clothes from like when we were kids, and rocking that stuff, like the starter coats with like corduroy pants or something like that, and riding a bicycle with over the old school headphones.
Also, I did want to give an honorable mention here for this one to Justin Turner and Daniel Vogelbach, who both really like the undo the button, give me the chains, give me the bling. Justin Turner at 38, 39 years old, still putting together a good fashion look. So I wanted to give them an honorable mention too.
Oh yeah, if you got the fur on the chest, you gotta let it breathe.
That's right. You don't become a baseball player, putting hair on your chest if you don't want to show it off a little bit. I get that very much. All right, Jesse. 5 or 6 more here as we're getting towards the end of the episode. I want to feel something good. This Blue Jay season brought me a lot of pain. I did not love this, but we stuck with it anyway. Give me a feel-good moment for you. Your feel-good moment of the year award is what?
It has to be Ernie Clement this whole year, because if you look at it, even last year, cut by the Oakland A's, comes to Toronto, plays in Buffalo, lights it up, gets to get a sip of coffee with the Jays last season. This year, he comes into spring camp knowing if he doesn't beat out whoever, which was Eskimo this year, he's going somewhere else into send packing.
Mm-hmm.
And what does he do? He beats out Clement or beats out Eskimo. Eskimo gets traded to the Reds, and he becomes an everyday player because of injuries. Has some memorable home runs he hit, like against San Fran, the ones that
Gold
forehead,
Glove nominee, right?
Now Gold Glove nominee, and just became really a fan favorite too, with just how happy and positive, and his bromance with Horwitzer Schneider too. And he's a hell of a golfer.
Apparently, that's the word going on. Hell of a guy, hell of a roommate too is Ernie Clement. I like your answer there. I don't think there is a bad option. You can go with a lot of this person went through tragedy or injury and made their way back, like looking at Chad Green, for example. You could argue that Eric Swanson, after what happened with him this spring and him coming back and pitching a lot better, could be good. Including some other ones. Nathan Lucas dealt with a lot of injuries and was able to come in here and put together some good stretches down the end. But I want to give it to Luis de los Santos, who finally made his big league debut after being in the system. Like him and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. were the only players in this whole system that were still here when Alex Anthopoulos was running this team. And after all those years of riding buses, sitting there and coming into the big leagues, getting your first big league hit. He didn't get his first big league home run, but he got his first big league RBI. I just want to throw, hey, it feels good for a guy like Luis de los Santos, even though he's not going to be on this team next year or probably even in the organization anymore. But it was good for him to come up and have that moment. So I want to give it to Luis de los Santos.
Exactly. Bus rides earned, like he earned it. Like he said, like all the bus rides and stuff like that. Like even when there's one in the minor league too, like if you think about it, it's Eric Pendino. Someone who was there with Stroman Sanchez and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Like how getting recognized in AA and as a reliever. Like in our system, there's a feel good story too.
Yep, I'm with you there. And I think we're actually going to see some Eric Pardino next year. So keep that name in the memory bank. All right, from the positives to the terrible, because we go up, we must come back down. Your biggest bust of the Toronto Blue Jays in the 2024 season?
Well, we can say the whole season was, but
sure. Just put the whole team, call it a wrap.
We could, but I would definitely say it has to be Bo Bichette because everyone, like, yes, it was because of injuries and we all, like, he missed so much time, but realistically, what we expect from him and what we got from him, he has to be the bust. If not, a close second would be George Springer.
Yeah, there was a lot, Jesse, you could have gone with. I think Bo Bichette is the correct answer simply for the reason you stated. Expectations were so high for Bo Bichette coming into this season. And not only did he only play in 81 games, he was not good in the 81 games he played in. 4 home runs from Bo Bichette this year after he hit 20, 24, and 29 the 3 years prior. Yikes from Bo Bichette. So I'm with you, but you could have gone any direction for this. Jordan Romano had a 6-something ERA and then got hurt. Tim Meza is on the Yankees now, pitching in the World Series. Like Eric Swanson was supposed to be our shutout, our like 8th inning guy, was terrible and then was off the team for a while and then came back. And like Danny Jansen, even to an extent, disappointed us a little bit. Like there are kind of guys all over the stadium. Chris Bassett led baseball in walks this year. Like there's a lot of things you could have gone, but I'm with you. I think Bo Bichette has to be the biggest one just because expectations were so high.
No, definitely. Like as what we expect from Bo and then what we got, it was just like could even be there for the WTF moment too.
Mm-hmm. And then we can just hammer through these next ones very quickly. But Jesse, what was your biggest fooled you moment where something happened this season where you were convinced, yep, this is happening, this is great, this is going to be the case going forward, and we were dead wrong about it? Take it away with your award there.
Oh, let's hop into the time machine and head back to spring training at George Steinbrenner Field. Bottom of the first, Daniel Vogelbach versus Garrett Cole.
Yeah,
Vogelbach takes him yard, like with a moonshot, pimps the home run.
Mm-hmm.
Then Cole goes down with an elbow injury. I was like, and I remember texting him like, Danny Berger, get the burgers ready. Like I literally had a bet saying, you know, like if he hits 20, I'll buy a jersey or even a jersey of Danny Berger's. Fool me. Doesn't even finish the season with the Jays.
Hey, yeah, he made the team based mostly on his spring training performances. And honestly, you could make the argument he kind of hurt this team for a while. I think he had 1 home run in the regular season to Danny Berger.
I was at that game too. I was joking with I was at the game with a boy of mine. I say, there's Vogelbach. I thought he'd be good. And like he's on the verge of being cut. First at bat, hits a homer. Then he hits the double. I'm like, well, I'll shut up now.
That's a good candidate for the biggest fooled you moment of this year. In the same vein, to a lesser extent, I'm going to go with Mitch White. I remember Mitch White throwing him into spring training this year, throwing 97. I thought, yeah, change guy. This is it. He's going to be great. No, he threw 10 innings with the team before he was cut as well. And then Joey Votto, I guess you could have made an argument for as well. Hit a home run of Zach Wheeler in spring training, then rolled his ankle and was never seen from again. It's Joey Votto.
Because it hurt like the Dickens.
That's right. So did getting fooled by all those players also hurt like the Dickens. Let's go to something on the field now. And this is just as a baseball fan, what was your highlight of the year from the Toronto Blue Jays?
And it'll be the target field catch by Leo Jimenez, ranging from second, diving into the crowd, almost Josh Donaldson-esque, making the catch, and then even what made me like that play more was even the heads up by Barger. Yes, it was a dead ball, but grabbing that ball from Jimenez and gunning out Austin Martin at home too, like that whole sequence of a play, like just literally was a highlight, like probably the highlight of the season for the Jays.
It shows good baseball IQ, and I know we love good baseball IQ over here. Ultimately,
and we are Barger boys,
right? And we are Barger boys on this show here too. I love a good defensive play, like around the horn, a good diving stop at third, and then a double play. The Blue Jays had a few of those this year. Obviously, anything Dalton Varsho did in the field was phenomenal. But I'm going to go with just the classic walk-off home run. And that's what Davis Schneider did in the 14th, May 31st against Pittsburgh, hitting that opposite field home run. It was his first opposite field home run of the career. The first game in the night mode jerseys. And after a grueling game against Pittsburgh, hitting that walk-off home run. I'm going to give that as our highlight of the year, but many, many good choices for this award here.
Oh, definitely. Or even the back-to-back jacks. But I think it was Loperfino and Barger to win the game against I think it was Texas, if I'm correct.
Angels.
Oh. Yeah, like that one was a good one, or all the near no-nos by Bowden too. Like
Alejandro Kirk hit a triple. I'm just saying. That did happen this year. And then the Trop was burned down like a month later by
natural causes.
That's just the tailwind from Kirk's speed rounding the bases.
Exactly. The road runner.
Fall off the Trop. Yeah. Maybe too soon, but so long, Tropicana Field, if we ever do see you again. 3 more awards here, Jesse, and this one is the fan moment of the year. Now, there was one obvious one, and then I'm sure it's going to be the one you pick here for your winner. Well, go ahead and just say it before I bring up some other potential.
Friend of the show, it has to be the Liz McGuire ball to the face. Like, it's become a baseball card, a pop art, like, it just was viral, like all over social media, regular media. Like,
she's been on our show to talk about it. We've met her personally several times. Great gal. I wish it didn't have to hurt so bad to become an honorable fan moment of the year. Shout out to Bo Bichette for actually hitting a ball 110 miles per hour. I didn't know he could still do that anymore. So credit to him. But yeah, that's the right answer, I believe. Was there any other nomination you could have thought of? Like, I thought maybe shouting out the Looney Dog Kings for eating all those hot dogs and whatnot. But, you know, we're a long way away from people having sex at Rogers Center and having to be kicked out of the stadium and showing stuff that we haven't seen that in a while. And I couldn't really think of any notable fan moments from the Blue Jays this year.
I would definitely, there's not many, but like I could say, I'll say both of us have had experiences this year, like with the people we met or being at the games, like being at, for me, going to Fenway to watch that home run by Vladdy, like Joe almost on the freeway, like
deep into
that was a great moment, and like at the time being rubbing it in the face of all the Red Sox guys in Fenway, it was kind of nice. Then we had the meltdown, so they got the last laugh, but I had that moment.
All right, well, 2 more to go. I'm with you, my guy. It's all about spending the time at the game and us as fans, whatever moments we make from it. It's very beautiful. The next one is Who the Fuck Is That Guy? Award. And basically, it can be what player this year made you say just that coming into this season?
Oh, I still probably can't even say his name, but Jose Claus. I was like, I'm like, who?
Yeah, right.
Or I'll give you an mention to Easton Little. I was like, who is this guy? Then he had a good outing.
Easton Lucas.
Yeah, Easton Lucas.
You don't even know his name. Yeah.
Exactly. I just know his first name as a hockey stick, not a baseball player.
Yeah, I'm with you, buddy. With the amount of bullpen churn that we had in our bullpen this year, there were a lot of guys that would make me go, who the hell is that guy? I still don't know what Yeri Rodriguez looks like. I know he pitched for us this year. I remember friend of the show, Keegan Matheson, was telling us one night that he's like, he literally walked into the clubhouse one day. Yerry Rodriguez walked by, and he had to go to a Blue Jays media guy and be like, "Who the hell is that? And why is he in the clubhouse?" So, honorable mention from any of the bullpen guys. And I think on the offensive side of the ball, I think we know pretty much everybody who came in. Stuart Baroa, maybe, or Luis De Los Santos, maybe honorable mentions, but it's definitely one of these bullpen guys.
Well, it definitely had to be the carousel bullpen hitters that were the usual names.
And the last award, go ahead.
I was going to say even like some in the minor leagues, like Cancel, like coming from like the bagging groceries and then hitting bombs for the Bisons, and some of those guys. I'm like, who exactly?
Yeah, very big roster turnover. But there were a lot of those guys with the Blue Jays. And if you haven't done our Sporkle quiz of trying to name every single player who played for the Toronto Blue Jays, it's in our Twitter page. Go in and look for it. You will find it. So there are some names that played on this team this year that you might not remember. So very fun if you're looking to kill a little bit of time. And our last award, Jesse, this is the where were you when moment. And it's, not a lot of positives for the Toronto Blue Jays this season, but there were a few things that happened this season where you will remember where you were when those things happened. So do you want to take it away with one, your moment, and then two, where you were when that moment happened?
So the moment will be that Los Angeles series, Saturday afternoon, Bowden Francis on the mound. I'm up at my father-in-law's place in Havelock, just on the boat, and I get a notification. No, Bowden Francis no hitter through 7. I'm like, excuse me, and I'm literally on his boat on the boat, getting Sportsnet on to watch the game on my phone, and my wife's like, "Why are you on your phone?" I'm like, there's history happening here. I could be witnessing history, and then you texting me say we need to go live. I'm like, I'll go live on a boat.
That's right.
I just remember being on the boat, just not worrying about what we're seeing or whatever. I'm just on my phone watching Bowden Francis going 120 pitches in the 9th inning, and then Taylor Ward saying he's hittable. But
hey, he hit him.
But he hit him. But tell you how many times in his 2 starts versus him. So just watching it on the boat, I think that was probably one of where we moment, where was I moment without being actually at the game.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's the first moment maybe this year that actually I got really into it. My heart started pounding. I remember I was at work, but my friend Stephanie was at that game, and it was her first Blue Jays game she had ever been to without me. And she was just going to spend the Saturday afternoon with some friends. She didn't really know what was going on, and she's sending me these pictures of she's drinking a mojito. They're singing "Okay Blue Jays," having the time of her life. And I'm sitting here screaming. I'm like, you were at a game where a Blue Jays going to throw a no-hitter since Dave Stieb. You don't even really know what's going on here. And yet this is probably one of the biggest Blue Jays moments of the season. And she was there. So that was wild. My moment of the where were you when, and this is kind of because I'm a baseball nerd like this. I prefer more weird and wacky, quirky things that the game of baseball has to offer. And that's when Danny Jansen became the first player to appear for 2 teams in one game, technically. I remember I was riding my bike up north, northern Ontario, trees, woods, gravel. It was awful. I got stuck at one point. I had fell, but I remember I was listening to the game on the radio through my phone when Danny Jansen appeared for that game for the Red Sox, and I'll remember that one. It's just a quirky score thing. That's something I will always remember, and it might honestly be Danny Jansen's claim to fame as a big leaguer, is being the first guy to appear for both teams in the same game. So that's my moment.
No, exactly. I remember being that game too. I was just about to go down for a nap for my night shift, and then I was like, I'm just going to watch the Jays game a bit before I go. And I got to witness him do that while I was right before I went to sleep for a few hours, and got to watch him again a little bit after that, after the nap. But yeah, that's definitely a moment too. We got to see history I guess it's a positive, but it was a bit of history for us there.
It's kind of cool. It's something I'm always going to remember about Danny Jansen and something I'm always going to remember about this season. So I thought that was quite neat. That is it for our awards, Jesse. We went through, we killed them all, got them all done here. You let me know what your favorite award was. If you would have picked something else, or if you think we are clueless, we could have picked way better people for the award. Let us know. Leave a comment down below. We will talk about it. Jesse, just some other things as we're kind of wrapping up the season here. Just some other things that happened this season that I just wanted to lay at you really quick. We've mentioned most of them throughout the course of this episode, so I think we've covered on all the big things. But remember that game, Tampa at home, where Tyler Alexander just shut us down? Like, that one stuck with me for a while as a game that happened this season. We had the Joey Votto saga. Alek Manoah came up, made 5 starts for this team this year. Not only did we have the back-to-back home runs by Lo Perfido and Addison Barger, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa had a walk-off RBI single in there. Ernie Clement had a walk-off single. Spencer Horwitz had a monster series in Atlanta this year. I wanted to make sure I mentioned that. And obviously Vlad finishing with 199 hits and Jose Barrios finishing 1 win away from milestone as well. Were all memorable things. Was there anything else? I think we've covered a lot of the memorable stuff from this season, but
the final series at the Oakland Coliseum with that dreadful organization where we couldn't even watch us being locked off by the A's because the Sportsnet couldn't get off the commercial fast enough.
Yeah.
Or Kikuchi laying out Soderstrom, like those were some memories.
Kevin Gausman threw a complete game shutout that series too.
And I remember texting him, like, I'm scared that the bullpen's going to blow it. Then right after I said it went final, I'm like, oh, phew. And then I realized he did all the work himself.
Mm-hmm.
And then, or even like just the me texting while we are watching the national series, we're just like, well, Vladdy, he really wants his home run go back with the when he had the moonshot, and then next game the home run jacket's back.
Yes, that's right. I had forgot about that. See, that should have been our fashion moment of the year. The home run jacket came back this year. Didn't even cross my mind. Yeah, with the red carpet too. So there you go. That's an honorable mention there as well. Well, that'll do it for our episode here today. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Next week, well, if the World Series is still going on, we might actually start turning our attention to the offseason. We might start looking at some early Blue Jays rumors that have been going around. Well, you and I, Jesse, are going to give our bold predictions, I suppose, for the offseason, what we think the Blue Jays will do, what we think, what we want the Blue Jays to do. And we're also going to go on socials and we're going to ask you for some of your help as fans listening to the show, because it's Buds and Blue Jays. We need our buds, right? So if you are watching and you are listening, come on in, leave a comment. We will have either leave your voice and we will play your voice on our show, or we will have someone do a voiceover of your bold prediction for you. But we want to get a ton of you in here giving your bold prediction for the offseason, and we will be doing some work on our social media channels to try to get some of those done. But very excited for that episode. It's always fun to imagine what could happen for the Toronto Blue Jays this year, just to be disappointed when we end up just signing like Paul Goldschmidt or something like that. But we will see.
Or trading for an Arenado.
Yeah, or something very minor, I suppose. But looking forward to that. So please make sure you leave the comments on that and we can get that process going in motion. Jesse, anything else to add before we get out of here today?
No, definitely was a lot of good memories of the season, a lot of bad memories.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely this offseason is going to be one to remember for the channel and for both of us. Mm-hmm. And yeah, like you said, if you guys have any predictions, either hit us up on the socials here or our personal accounts, and we'll definitely get them tied into this episode. And your interaction and likes and all that will really help us. So if you watch it to the full, it also helps our algorithm. So we appreciate everything.
We will see you guys next week to start talking some Blue Jays offseason. Until then, let's go Dodgers, and we will see you next week.
Let's go Dodgers.